All right, for this project, you're going to need your square sheet of paper, okay, and then you're going to also need your a triangle that fits into this square sheet of paper 8 times, okay. So I folded the paper so that you can see where the triangle is going to fit. You don't need to fold it if you can follow these directions without folding it. If you need to fold it, you can. Okay, so you'll see that this triangle fits inside this space here, 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 and one more time there. Okay, so I took this triangle and I traced it onto a white sheet of paper, okay, 3 times, so that I could have 3 different examples of ways that I might create a design for this project. Okay, after I completed my practices, you take your tracing paper, you'll lay your tracing paper on top of the design that you chose. Okay, so I laid it right on top of here, and I can see through the paper, and then I traced that image. Now I'm going to take this tracing of my image, I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it face down inside one of the triangles. Okay, there's 2 sides to this tracing paper. One side has graphite on it, the other side does not. Graphite is what's on the pencil. Okay, it's very important that you use a pencil for this assignment. Okay, so the side that has the pencil on it, we'll lay it face down inside one of the triangles, and we should be able to see our lines through the tracing paper. Okay, and so now we're going to take our pencil and write right on top of the graphite that's on the other side of the paper. Okay, and you notice that I'm going over it several times. Okay, the more you go over it, the better it's going to show up, because what we're doing right now is we're pressing the graphite on the other side of the tracing paper off of the tracing paper and onto the project paper. Okay, so you can press hard to do that, but if you press too hard, you might tear your tracing paper. So instead of pressing hard, I'm going over it more than once. Okay, so you can see I'm going back and forth over those lines. Okay, so I did it 2 to 3 times. I went over each line, and then you will see once I'm finished that the graphite comes off of the paper, off of the tracing paper, onto my project paper. Okay, it's very important that you hold this very still so that all of your pieces line up with one another. Sometimes people like to use tape. If you choose to use tape, be very careful not to rip your tracing paper. Okay, I gave you more than one piece of tracing paper so that you can, if you do mess up, you have a backup. But you just got to make sure that if you redo it, that you have your original to be able to recopy it exactly the same. Okay, because if your second sheet of tracing paper doesn't look exactly the same as your first one, then you're going to mess your project up. You will not have radial symmetry. Face, I could rotate it and it would fit. Okay, but if I rotate it, my letters do not line up. So my R right here should be lined up with my R right here, but it's not. Okay, so make sure that your letters are lining up. Okay, so when I take this off, I'm going to flip it. Okay, when I flip it over the lines, okay, so these are lines of symmetry. Okay, so if you have a line of symmetry, it should be reflected onto the other side. So you're gonna have to flip it. Do not rotate it. Okay, so now you can see that my R's line up with each other. Okay, and now I'm going to try to get these to line up as best as possible, and then I will start to trace over these lines. Now, if you are tracing over your lines and you miss the line, it will not show up on the other side of the paper, because what you're doing is pressing the graphite off. And if you're not on top of the graphite, it will not get pressed off. Okay. Now we're using a pencil for this so that we add graphite back to the tracing paper, so that when we flip it over again, there's more graphite to be pressed off. Okay. Okay, so now you can see my K's line up with each other, my R's line up with each other. Now my A's, because they go off the edge of the paper, are not going to touch each other, but they are parallel to one another.